Well, they tried to push the market lower and they got hammered. And you look at it again today, it was down when I woke up this morning. Both gold and silver were way down. Gold was down 50, 60 bucks, and now gold is up 85 bucks and silver's up $3. We are at, holy moly, we are at basically almost, over $96.50 on silver and almost $5,000 on gold, $49.20.
That's crazy.
Every single month for the past 15 months, 16 now, we've seen record demand or deliveries into COMEX. In the month of December, the December delivery contract for silver, 68 million ounces were delivered into COMEX. So someone stood for delivery to 68 million ounces. That's the largest December delivery in the history of the COMEX. Another 3 or 4 million ounces of gold on top of it. You're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars. So far in January, which is a non-primary delivery month, we've already seen roughly 40 million ounces or more of silver delivered. So in the last 45 days, you've seen 120 million ounces of silver delivered into COMEX. Don't tell anybody.
That's right.
And 5+ million ounces of gold. But this is every single month. And I've been saying that on your show every single time. Who's doing it? Not a word by the mainstream, not a word by the independent journalists or the financial media. To me, it is the biggest story. Hundreds of billions of dollars being brought into the United States in gold and silver by people who do not do it for the hell of it. And at that level, they know where this is going, and that's why the deliveries are all that matter to me. It's true. It's just all that matters to me, because these people at that level doing billions and billions and billions do not do this if they don't know where it's going ultimately.
Wall Street is hiding the biggest story in financial history. 120 million ounces of silver delivered into COMEX in 45 days. TD Bank got stopped out of their short position and lost massively. Van Eck says gold could hit $184,000 per ounce. The media won't cover it because they don't want you to reposition before the elites do. This is the greatest wealth transfer, and you're being left behind. Thanks for watching. Give a thumbs up and subscribe to Fine Metals for the latest insights.
Liabilities divided by gold reserves equals $39,000 per ounce weighted by daily FX turnover using M0. It says central bank M2 money supply liabilities divided by gold reserves equals $184,000 per ounce. And I'll just read this last piece. It says using global M2, where we have a global series unlike for MO, we calculate the global price of gold that equalizes M2 is around $100,000 per ounce, weighted by daily FX turnover for our sample. The gold price that equalizes M2 is $184,211. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but what have I been saying on your show forever? I think they're going to, as Judy Shelton told me, back the back end of the bond market with gold. So if you sell someone a 30-year treasury that's redeemable in gold with zero interest, well, that means you can bring back manufacturing at zero interest. You need to pay the holder of that bond $30 million in gold. At today's rate, let's say $5,000, what's that, 6,000 ounces? So you need 6,000 ounces to pay that back today. But what if it's 184,000 in 10 years or 8 years, whatever that is? So you take 30 million divided by 184,000. Now you only need 163 ounces instead of 6,000 ounces. So if you let the price of gold go higher, 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 and relinquish the reserve standard, not only do your pegged bonds, you have to barely give any gold up from today to then, but the rising gold devalues the dollar, and that's how you sell. That's how you sell stuff to the world. That's what everyone has done to us by devaluing their currency against ours. That's Triffin's dilemma. I think this is what he wants. And the mechanism to it is through the Genius Act, by allowing, because right now the interest on those treasuries when money moves is not transferable. They're putting it into gold. Tether owns $14 billion in gold already. This is the largest position in the world outside of central banks. The more gold goes higher, the lower the dollar goes, the easier it is to sell manufacturing. And if you can bring it back at 0% borrowing like this, well, heck, that's fantastic. And then if you have to pay 16,000 ounces, or 6,000 ounces rather today, but you let gold go up to the number that Van Eck says, well, it's only 163 ounces in 30 years or whenever that number is. So I don't know. It seems to be happening, and I just think
It's
if you save in
happening.
dollars, you're going dead. You're going to go broke. The massive deliveries that we've seen. Who's delivering it? Who's paying for all of this? And maybe the people at that level want to reposition before they let all of the people that we're all talking to get it. Now, the people that we're talking to all have gotten it for a long time, and but the rest of the crowd, I mean, you talk about the S&P 500 up 19% or so last year in the face of the greatest AI tech boom in the history of the stock market, maybe next to the advent of the internet, and gold eviscerated it up 70%. So that's what, three and a half times better performance. And silver up 150%. Well, you're talking 7 times the performance, and not a word about it. And at the same time, any journalistic integrity at all would say, who the hell for 15 months has been bringing all this into COMEX where
That's
this never
right.
happens? So yes,
Come on.
it's been going on that way forever. And for whatever reason, gold, I guess, and silver are the antithesis of the system. And even if the system was in the midst of a reset or a transition, and there were white hats at the helm, the white hats need to transfer too. They need to reposition. Then came the line that shook the room. He said, why would Europe agree to net zero when they don't even make a battery? That's the truth the globalists can't answer. Green agendas without industry, climate pledges without sovereignty, moral posturing while outsourcing power to Beijing. America's first isn't isolation, it's independence. And this goes on and on, but it's true. They're moving away from this globalist agenda and moving into a mercantile agenda where we prioritize America's security first. And I do think there is nobility in that. And I think it's a hard road to hoe that the previous administration has set us back so far that the things that we are doing now, I think, look extreme. But had we not fallen so far on the other side of the pendulum with our policies and our global image, that he wouldn't have had to do these things. But God bless him for doing it, because, you know, if not, we were heading down a very, very dark and scary path. It's harder to put food on the table, drive to work, just keep it all together, where the wealthy don't care about that because their assets have gone parabolic. And I don't know the exact number, but the top 1%, their wealth has increased by like $11 trillion in the last year or two. So that's through these types of policies, which it is too stupid to be stupid, but you look at the World Economic Forum type of mantra where, you know, you'll own nothing and be happy and you'll rent. Well, that's what you're creating, an entire nation of people who just can't barely keep it together financially. Look at AI coming in to create maximum efficiency at the expense of millions and millions of jobs. So the wealthy get wealthier and the poor get poorer. These are all things that, God willing, if Trump is able to bring back manufacturing, is able to create more of a mercantile world, he admits that the globalist thing doesn't work anymore. We need to focus on our future in this country. And I think that's what this all boils down to. And it's not easy when you've created through this gaslighting of the country a massively divided populace where
That's right.
half of the country becomes radical, like in Minnesota. You know, that was Little House on the Prairie and Mary Tyler Moore, and all of a sudden we are the center of nuts. Now,
That's because of the people we have here, you know.
Yes, I know. Well, and the point is, why has no one been thrown in the hoosegow yet? And I hope they do. I hope they get perp walked right down Hennepin Avenue, all of them. And I believe that it's going to be something very big. And the bottom line is simply this: is that when I started talking about this on your show, on Mike Adams' show, who, by the way, was offered $1 million a year to do this, and he said that publicly, so I can say that. I had no idea that it would have the legs that it has, but it's been 2 years now, and I get dozens of people every day sending me, and they're all so sad and embarrassed and frightened.
Right.
And we tell them what they can do. We tell them what their stuff is worth. And it's a big deal, Sarah, and God bless you for having the courage to say it. And we've done it professionally, you and I. We haven't outed anyone. Dale Whitaker does. He has.
They do, yeah.
Go listen
and Mike
to your
Adams
show or
just
mine.
did,
Yes.
yeah. But we've had hundreds of people come in now, hundreds. And I had a journalist act like he really was scammed, and he laid it all out. I showed you the article that's posted on my website on how you didn't know he was a journalist.
Well, the worst part of all this, Sarah, the worst part about it all, I would love the people who we've helped through your channel to reach out to you, and maybe they will privately, because the way these companies, unless they get thrown in jail, and I hope they do, the way that they continue to do this to people is when the reason they focus on IRAs is because the people are older, typically. They may not be as tech savvy. They're not going to look at their online statement maybe as much, and then some of them, God forbid, die, and their heirs take it over, have no idea. But the 1 or 2% who bitch and say, "What did you do to me? I'm going to ruin your career. Go nuts." Well, they make them whole, and they do it appropriately, but they're made to sign something saying, "Well, you can never say another word about us again, and you have to retract your negative review." And so they're free to continue to do this what is, in my mind, ridiculous white-collar crime. And I've tried to do my part, and I'll tell you some things when we're offline that I wish I could say right here, right now, but all I can say to you is it is real, and that's something that I probably hold my hat upon. And I know we talk about it a lot, but the number of people that have heard us talk about it is startling, and I'm proud to say we've helped a lot of them. Whoever it is that is doing this and not letting the information out, I don't know, is it the good guys trying to allow themselves to get in a position to make this country strong, or is it the bad guys wanting to hang on to the old system? But the very fact that gold and silver are not spoken about on the mainstream is absolutely pathetic. And
it's hurting the average person. It's hurting the average person, and I think that there's too many things that have been done in the name of trying to be good that hurts people. Every single atrocity in history. Think about any
false flag event, of course.
They all are done in the name of trying to do the general good. And in hindsight, it ends up being the worst thing ever.
Well, get this, by the way. So Van Eck funds, which is, that's not James Rickard saying 24,000. That's not Mike Maloney saying 10,000 gold. Van Eck Funds is a mutual fund company. And I want to read something to you real quick. It says, what if, this is written by Van Eck, okay? What if gold replaced the U.S. dollar as the reserve standard? Now, my view is that these countries, and even when Lutnik says we're moving away from globalism to mercantilism, that means everyone uses their own currency and trades with one another through their own currency. But so my feeling is that gold will replace the treasury, the reserve portion, not the dollar won't die, but in terms of what people hold their reserves in across the globe, it will be gold. So they say, what if gold replaced the U.S. dollar as the reserve standard? In this paper, our emerging markets bonds team values gold by matching central bank money liabilities to reserves, implying a $39,000 to $184,000 per ounce price. I'll get to just the highlight. If they use M0 is the monetary base that everything else is built on top of. I just did an interview with Catherine Austin Fitts, and she's an amazingly smart lady. And I said, is Trump an ally or not? And she said she thinks he was put into place by the bankers to create an environment where the conservative crowd would actually submit to things like a digital ID, and that it's all part of the system, all part of the plan. And whether he is or I don't know, but I mean, these are the same people that I would argue have been behind the military-industrial complex, have been behind all of the things like moving towards a central bank digital currency. In fact, she said to me that a stable coin, which is part of the Genius Act, might actually be worse, because she said the piping, all of these private companies like Tether or the banks that push money into short-term treasuries has to go through the Treasury. And so you have, and that the legislation specifically does not address programmability. Now, we know that they have KYC, know your client, AML, anti-money laundering, KYT, know your transaction, features built into it, but the programmability, like being able to shut you off from your money because you didn't get a vaccine or you didn't pay or whatever, because it's all routed through one pipe,